It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
All right, 12:05 on a Tuesday. It's Two Guys and a Goalie, presented by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, safety, driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of that team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca and click Ready to Work, or visit their page at Indeed.ca. And with the Next Up Person program at GS, it's not just a job, it's a career. Cass, this is a surprise. I wasn't expecting to see you. I thought you were busy, but Zach's like, Cass is connected. Cass has connected. I was very excited. I didn't want to just sit here with Gager for another 60 minutes today. We've already done 3 hours together.
Well, I'll probably leave you alone with him for a little bit as the alarm at the hotel is going off in the background. But it's stopped, so it's okay. I think they're doing some maintenance work, they had said, so expect it to be buzzing a little bit. But no, on the road, so I won't be able to do the whole show, but I miss you guys. Yeah,
I miss you too, Cass.
I got to get on. And I feel like there's lots to talk about and discuss. And
like what?
A little bit to get off my chest with it too. So I was like, I got to get on here for as long as I can because there's too much.
All right, well, let's get into it. Gager and I had a chance to go over it all this morning. Obviously, we were on the air when the news broke that they weren't going to be matched. Led to some absolutely wonderful numbers this morning, so that was great. If you've not yet subbed to the channel, push up towards 10K, so give us a sub. We'd love that as well. If you have any comments or questions, obviously, we're about to dive headfirst into the Oilers' decision to not match on Broberg and Holloway. So 780-218-9999, or just up in the nasty chat as well. Cass, how do you break this whole big picture down?
Well, this is the tough thing for me. Is you lost by 1 goal in the Stanley Cup final. You now got rid of 3 of the D that took you there that are gone. And you didn't bring in, and 2 of them played consistently in your top 4. And you haven't brought anybody that's like a shoe-in to replace them yet. So like with the no signing or taking over the offer sheets for Holloway and Broberg, unless there's like a trade in the works for a top 4 D-man right now, or unless Evander Kane isn't going to be on the LTIR and you're forced to deal with that, I just don't see why they cleared the Cody Ceci's cap space to be able to not sign those guys to offer sheets. Like that to me is just like the timing of it. Maybe something else in the work, but I was just kind of surprised in a certain way that, again, you have 2 guys that were in your top 6 that carried you and played, or in the top 4 defensemen in your Stanley Cup final that took you within 1 goal of winning the Stanley Cup, and now you moved on from them. And my Cody Ceci bias will show, obviously, as I admit and will admit to. But guys, if you weren't going to sign them to the offer sheets, I don't understand. If you weren't going to sign one of or both of those guys to their offer sheet offers, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, what happens now is that they are like basically what appears to be the case is they moved CC out. They didn't match these guys to offer sheets. As of today, they're $955,000 under the cap. And if Kane's not going to be on the LTIR for the entire season, now you'll be able to bring him off, right? You'll accrue cap space until he's ready to come back and play. And then you won't be in a spot where all of a sudden you have to move on from some guys. I think the thought process was Kane's going to go on the LTIR long term. You move CC and now you can keep Broberg. But apparently that's not the way the Oilers didn't want to approach it that way. They apparently want to be under the cap, including Kane, at the beginning of the season. Because as soon as I saw the CC trade, I was like, oh, well, they're keeping Broberg for sure. Because in all honesty, guys, their blue line is not that great right now. So, it's taken a bit of a blow. Gager, what do you think about what Cass had to say?
No, it's a great way to look at it. 1 goal away, decimating your defensive core. I do most of my best thinking walking the dog, and when I got home, I walked the dog, and I do some thinking in another place too. That's quite good. But anyway, I'm looking at the one thing that came across my mind was the penalty kill, and how I would say one of the biggest reasons for the turnaround from the dreadful start and throughout the rest of the regular season and in the playoffs, the success of the Edmonton Oilers hinged heavily on that penalty killing. It was unbelievable just how much juice they got from that, and they've removed pillars of that penalty kill, and that's going to be, in my mind, looking at the players, and we don't know what they have yet, obviously, but I think that's the biggest question mark for me going forward, is how are the Edmonton Oilers going to kill penalties now with such a good group from before? Like Desharnais, CC, they were fantastic. The way that cohesive unit worked together, essentially it would be like dismantling that power play in a sense, guys. Like that's it taking I mean, you still have Connor and Leon. I realize that, but they were operating at such a high level. That's troublesome. They're something has to be in the works for this,
especially with how good they were in the playoffs, Gager. I hadn't even thought of that yet. So I'm glad you bring that up, because I didn't even think of that on the penalty kill side of it, where you just lost two. And again, with the CC, you're getting a young defenseman that has shown some promise. He's a good young defenseman, and maybe you're hoping, but are you really thinking that he's going to slide into your top four, or are you sure of that? Or is he going to be a guy that plays in the bottom six and maybe gets by in the penalty kill? But yeah, that penalty kill is another question altogether. So thank you for bringing that up.
Cass, we keep grading this off season. It was like an A, it was an A, and then it was like A minus, and then it was a B plus. How much is the fact that this team now, and the way that they put themselves, like they deserve exactly what they got here. Like they put themselves in this spot to be taken advantage of, not like many other teams have done in the past, because it rarely has happened. I think for the most part, it's probably because the opportunity really doesn't pop up to this level of easiness for the Blues to just swoop in here and take two guys. So how do you view the offseason now that, they brought in some fresh faces, but they lost the only two real young future pieces they had on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, it started as an A+. I think when we hit the Savoy trade, I was at an A+. And then it's kind of slowly started sliding a little bit. I'd still have them in that B to B+, because I still think the Skinner trade, and from a young player standpoint, maybe you're looking at Matt Savoy and you're looking at him and him coming in and saying, okay, here's our Dylan Holloway replacement, because you did.
Well, they traded for Pot Coles in too, right? So,
right, but that's. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just pointing it out.
The Savoy is a bigger one for me, where it's like, okay, if you're looking at him and saying, here's a guy, if he can play defensively well enough to play on our third line, and he, can moonlight up if he needs to, just with the skill he has, and he does have that type of skill. I watched him play a couple times this year. Maybe you're thinking that, but that's an unknown. So you traded two. Or to trade, you lost one known, I would say, in Dylan Holloway. You knew what you had there with some upside from a young player stepping in. And you lost one in Broberg that's still semi-unknown. Like you had a really good playoffs, but it's like you still don't know what the top end is for him yet. And as you said, you did it because you slept on getting deals done for these guys. You didn't get it done in time. And you left yourself open to it by not budging. And as I said, some teams take hard lines with RFAs. You're seeing Carolina do it with Seth Jarvis right now, where they just still haven't signed a guy. And he's, if you're going to offer sheet him, he's coming in at like over $8 million to offer sheet him. So, significantly more, but it's just like teams sometimes take hard lines with RFAs. And if they're tight against the cap, you are exposing yourself, which is ultimately what they did. So I don't know, it's not that we look at this and say that's the only two players because of Matt Savoy coming in, but certainly on the defensive side of the puck, this is like your only young guy that was anywhere close to stepping in and being a regular, contributing regular to playing in the top four was Broberg, and now he's gone.
780-218-9999. We are on Two Guys and a Goalie here on Edmonton Sports Talk, presented by GS Construction. You can hit us up in the nasty chat as well. Hammer the thumbs up for us over there if you're watching right now on YouTube, and sub to the channel if you haven't already. Of course, you can chime in on this next question that I'm going to ask. Gager, who plays with Darnell Nurse on opening night?
Oh God, thanks, Dusty. Geez, that's very difficult to say. I mean, this is what I was thinking about all morning. Is there something else in the works? But what jumps off the page immediately is probably Kulak. I think.
But then you've got 3 righties on your bottom, like Brown and Stetcher and Emberson they're all righties.
I know, but I don't know what you have with those guys. I'm sure you're going to see in the 15 preseason games, Emberson playing with different players, right? But as of right now, he's essentially an unknown. Under 30 games played.
30
in the
games
NHL,
on the nose, yeah.
On the nose. Stetcher did play with them, wasn't it? Darnell Nurse that he played with. I don't know, man. Is Troy Stetcher going to be in your top 4? Is Emberson automatically in your top 4?
I mean, it would kind of have to be Stetcher by default if he's healthy, right? Like, I mean, he's played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of NHL games. The other 2, I'd be very stunned if he's not the first guy to get a look at. Cass, are we not looking at this the right way?
Cass is muted.
Is Cass in a classic mute situation even at the hotel?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
We'll get Cass back. Looked like he was having an internet issue at the hotel. Oh, there we go. Bring him back in there, Zach. Okay, go ahead, Cass. Say that again. No, now we lost him again.
Oh, we lost him.
I don't think anybody heard it, but he said, I think they have Emberson circled in there.
Thinks
I just think, I feel like we're elevating a guy who played 30 games with a garbage team quite highly to put him with Darnell Nurse to start the season. Like if I would have told you 2 weeks ago, Emberson is going to be in the top 4 with Darnell Nurse, what would you have said to me? Like, just because it's happened now doesn't mean that 2 weeks ago people would have been like, Dusty, I don't mind that idea. Like, come on, you guys. Like, let's see where it is before he's penciled in after 30 games with the Sharks. Like, come on.
Yeah, there was absolutely no pressure to succeed at that point. It was basically just treading water, trying not to get scored on, right? Like, I did check out his numbers. They're not bad, though, Dusty, with that team. But I think you made a great point.
There's no pressure playing with the San Jose Sharks. It was show up to the rink, get through it, and get ready for the next one. Get this season over with as fast as you can. You're coming in here on a team that has Stanley Cup expectations, and you have 30 games under your belt, and they're going to go, here you go. Like, I don't know, man. Cass, do you think that's who gets the first crack at it with Nurse?
Emberson? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what they got penciled in right now. And again, unless there's like another trade on the horizon, that like Stetcher's a third pairing guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. He'll be fine in a third pairing role, but do you really expect Troy Stetcher to be your D4 on a Stanley Cup winning team? I just don't think so. So I just kind of go hard here where it's, I think he starts. He starts with 30 NHL games played. He was
claimed off waivers 12 months ago, and now he's going to be playing alongside Darnell Nurse on a Stanley Cup contender. Like, the Rangers waived him, the Sharks claimed him. He was free to anybody 12 months ago, and now this is the guy that the Oilers are going to roll out next to Darnell Nurse. I mean, that's a bold play. That's a bold play for a guy who was waived 12 months ago.
But isn't it like, this is what we were talking about this morning too, Dusty, is the fact Darnell Nurse should be at a caliber where Emberson comes in and
he can elevate a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. He acts as a little bit of a buffer, or insulates him. That's the word I'm looking for. A little bit with his experience, and Emberson can learn from a player like Nurse. But we just we're funny how we're talking about who can we get to play with to help Darnell Nurse along. That's crazy. This is Darnell Nurse has to have a better year. I know.
Like,
it's
the reality.
Yeah,
I know there's so many people that poo-pooed all over Cody Ceci, but it's like Emberson's going to have a learning curve just to play with Darnell Nurse and to try to understand and read off of him, which is, I think, at times, not when he's playing well, when Nurse is playing well, but at times when he's not playing well, is incredibly difficult to do. So, it's again, like you. That's just to go back to not then signing Broberg. It just shocks me that you let him walk after clearing cap space where you could have brought him in.
This Cass Hotel show I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. The alarm's going off. The internet. Where are you staying at? A Motel 6, Cass? What's happening right now?
No, it's a window, but the alarm is going off again.
Cass, you got to go anyway, man. We'll let you go. You were only going to be able to hop on for a little bit anyway. We'll let you go, man.
Yeah, sorry guys. I tried. I wanted to talk about this, so I appreciate it. No, I still miss you.
I still miss you.
I miss you.
So, okay. Too. All right, good. See you later, buddy. There you go. That's Matt Kassian. Cass having a tough one today, Gage.
yeah, that's good.
That was funny. Too good. Man. Too good. All right. Your reaction, 780-218-9999. We'll get to hired or fired coming up a little bit later on here today as well on two guys and a goalie. Lick Fury says, let's roll with what we've got, make a big second pair right-hand trade at the deadline. Like that's what's going to happen here. Unless Emberson totally steps up and on a really good team, he can contribute alongside Darnell Nurse, and then maybe it's found money with this player who the coach is familiar with. So you'll buy into that, I think. But I already can't wait to see who they add as a right shot D-man on deadline day. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be an awesome, like, okay, this guy's available. Oh no, Dallas got him first. Like it's gonna be phenomenal stuff, Gage. I can't wait for the deadline already.
I guarantee that Nobla had massive inputs with this pick, right? This is a guy that he's familiar with, having firsthand knowledge, having him on his team, what he's capable of. I don't think without that type of input, I don't even think Emerson gets to Edmonton. This is a guy that usually this is what happens, especially I'm looking at from a minor league perspective. This happens a lot sometimes, Dusty, is when a coach moves somewhere, sometimes he takes his guys, that he finds reliable. This is kind of the first one that fits that mold where, okay, new member of the coaching staff, he's familiar with a certain player, the team goes out and gets that player. So great chance for Emberson, man. This is huge. But like you said, this isn't the Shark Tank. This isn't just treading water. Hopefully you don't get eaten by other teams. This is going to be under the microscope every single shift. How are you performing? If you are playing with Darnell Nurse, what's going to happen there? We looked over the scouting report. It seems like he is more of
he's a stay-at-homer.
Stay-at-home kind of guy, moves the puck well. I can't wait to see. I want to see how well he moves around. Like, that's the thing about Broberg, right? He moved around. It was effortless, him moving around the ice. Not always in the right position, but that seemed to be changing. He was it seemed like he was just learning the game. I watched those little snippets of Commodore, and he was on a podcast talking about he got asked the question, when did you realize you were a good player, or you had a chance to really make it? And he was back at North Dakota, and he just said, one day I just realized I had a little bit more time. I saw plays develop before they kind of happened, and I just knew it was okay. This is the game seemed to be getting easier and easier as he got more confident, a little bit more experience. So, I mean, I don't think after 30 games you figure out the NHL as a defenseman. This is going to be a little bit of a learning curve. But again, this is where the tutelage, Darnell Nurse has to be if this is where he's penciled in right now, Darnell Nurse has to make sure that he's, being supportive of his D partner, making those, trying to find some chemistry with him early. And with a left shot, right shot defenseman, I think it's a little bit easier in some respect instead of having just two lefties.
All right, it is Two Guys in Goalie presented by GS Construction. Nielson and Gage are here with you today. Starting in just a few weeks after this is over, we'd be like, all right, coming up next, it's EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. That was announced earlier this morning on the Nielsen Show. Gage, you're just hanging out with Hernan a little bit today. You're excited to work with Hernan, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Like, just, seeing his smile and stuff, and just a little. We didn't get full Latino heat.
No.
It was a Latino smolder a little bit today, a little bit hotter.
You got to fuel that fire during the season, buddy.
Oh,
I want to be sitting over there doing some work on a call, and I want to hear Hernan just losing his mind.
I can't wait to get that guy going. But I mean, it was great delivery today, Dusty. I think you had if you were a fisherman, you would have caught your haul today.
I've never caught a fish.
And that was well delivered. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. We're already. I've written down some things for stuff. I don't know. I have to ask you for. I don't want to go over copyright infringement rules, but there might.
You've got hot sayings instead of hot takes.
Well, no, I think the red light district might be coming back.
Oh, buddy, that would be great. Yeah, so definitely.
Well,
we got to get one. We got to get our old red light that's sitting around here. It's broken. We got to get that working again.
No, we don't.
No, you don't like that? I love that one.
No, I'll be sucking my thumb in the corner in the fetal position if I see one of those things again. There's none of that.
You're going to have to have somebody install a red light right there, right above it. I think that would be pretty funny. Hey, quickly on the fishing thing, I was thinking about it. I think because I've never caught a fish, I think I'm going to skip all over it and start doing a swordfish fishing. After I watched The Perfect Storm again on the plane over the weekend when I was flying from Regina to Vancouver. I love that movie. I've only watched it twice in the last 3 weeks. Never watched it before. But them getting the swordfish and like four guys, it looks like a lot of fun. I think I want to skip over the real thing and just go out and start pulling up swordfish into a boat, packing it with ice,
How are you from Cranbrook, where there's legendary places to go fly fishing and things like that? Never got your line wet in the water up around there?
No, blame HR Daddy. Never took me fishing as a child.
Really?
Now, that being said, we were on a cattle farm and we didn't have a lot of time. And he worked a full-time job as well as running the farm. And then we were all playing sports. There was no time to go fishing. Zach, did you not go fishing this weekend? I did. And what did you think of fishing, Zach? I love fishing. Did you catch a fish? All right, Zach says he loves fishing, but he didn't catch a fish.
I think you two, Trev and I, have to go fishing.
Trev fishes
too.
Yeah.
So we'll tie some flies and go try to see what we can do.
All right, let's get to this one from McLovin. You can text these in 780-218-9999. Just Dusty and Gager the rest of the way on Two Guys and a Goalie today. So we will get into a few more of these. And Jasmine, I see your messages come up on a couple of other things. This is a classic twist scenario here as well. Oh man. Anyway, first, McLovin says JJ and Bowman have lost the plot. A quarter of the team gone from last year. They were one win away from the cup. Penalty kill and right D dismantled. Weak center depth, slow and old bottom six with undersized injury-prone Savoy as our savior. Couldn't bank on Broberg. Well, we'll bank on 30-game Sharks kid experience. 30 games Sharks kid. Experience Oilers hockey. That comes in from McLovin. With that being said, Broberg hadn't played a ton of games either and was going to come at over 4 million. Emberson's under $1 million. So from a cap perspective, he's a better fit. I'm not having any expectations for this guy at all whatsoever. We'll see if it works out or not. But what about the thought of JJ and Bowman have lost the plot? A quarter of the team from last year is gone. What do you think about that, Gager? Is that okay? Or is that concern?
Well,
like, are we sitting here talking in September going like, seems like there's a lot of new faces here. Can they pick up where they left off?
But in most scenarios, if we go through every team in the league, Dusty, people move, right? I mean, at the end of the season, I don't think anyone thought that they would roll it back as much as they did, albeit with the forward group, right? So there's obviously changes, and I think that's necessary to a point, right? Oilers were pretty excited. It looked like they were bringing the whole band back together. We've all watched Zach Hyman last game standing up in the dressing room, pleading with everyone. It was great to come back, right? And it was encouraging to see. I think the biggest thing for me was when Henrique signed. I was like, wow, this is something special. I thought he could have gotten way more money, I think, somewhere else, and chose to come back to Edmonton to give it one really good last kick at the can. And maybe it's just the naivete of a young hockey player, right? These guys don't know any better. It's been from the time that Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway have been with the Edmonton Oilers. They've been a successful hockey team. It's almost like these guys came at an inopportune time to the Edmonton Oilers. If we would have looked back, if they were with the team 6 years ago, they would have been regulars on a regular night basis, right? But there was a lot of guys that they had to leapfrog to get into this lineup. But do I think they've lost it? No, I think what they wanted to do was make sure that the culture remained and the hunger remained, right? And I think they've solidified that. And look, they are an older team, but their best players are in their prime. So even though we say, the Oilers are the oldest team in the NHL, I don't think you don't really have to look at that just because Draisaitl, Connor, you look at Bouchard, these guys are all, in the prime of their NHL career. So I don't take much into that they're an aging team right now.
All right, so this has popped up on Twitter. I just see good old Bruce McCurdy has retweeted it. I'm assuming Bruce would know what's going on here if he's going to throw out the retweet. But Broberg got called up and played the last two games of the regular season, blowout losses at Arizona and Colorado to get ready for possible playoff action. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but it's quote tweeted from a Colton on Twitter. Says, fun tidbit, not sure if it's already been put out there, but players need at least 80 NHL games to be eligible for an offer sheet. Broberg only had 81. So if they don't play him in the last two games of the year, Gager, he's not eligible for an offer sheet.
Oh, wow. Is that right?
Well, I mean, Colton tweeted it out. I saw a bunch of people questioning it. Then Bruce was one of them. And then Bruce must have looked it up and retweeted it. And Colton writes for the Daily Hive and Offside Daily Hive stuff too. So, I mean, that stings a little bit if it is true. Yeah, that sucks. The big one. Could have not played for those two games, and he couldn't even have been eligible to sign an offer sheet this year.
If that's the case, then that's hindsight's always 20/20 in these scenarios, right? That's the thing. If you would have told me at the beginning of the playoffs that Broberg would go in halfway through the conference final and be one of the best defensive players on the Edmonton Oilers and play excellent in a Stanley Cup final through 7 games, I would have said you were crazy. So playing those 2 games, I think if I was the GM or coach in that scenario, I would have wanted him to play those games if I needed him, just to protect against the possible injury of one of my defensemen. So you're not thinking, I think the good of him playing those 2 games outweighed the bad at particular junction. But now, looking back, probably should have had him in the press box.
Yeah, it's a tough one. For those asking about Holloway, Holloway had played 89 games. So a little bit different than being one over the mark. That one, a little bit tough. This one is in from Ace Ed, I guess. I grew up on a farm and didn't go fishing until I was older with my friends. There's just no time to go fishing on a farm, especially a dairy farm. And I like this one from Waddy in Cloverdale, and says, guys, I'm glad the Oilers let them walk. Imagine you two, Trev and Zacticum, trying to squeeze EST while you grow the company. Team game, and they put themselves above the team. So that's what he's saying. Holloway and Broberg decided to put themselves ahead of the Edmonton Oilers' plan to try to win a Stanley Cup. In the end, they end up going to St. Louis. Broberg gets paid significantly more than he would have got with the Oilers, and Holloway probably gets about double of what the Oilers were hoping to sort of put him in at. But Gager, so they leave, they go to St. Louis. Oilers win the Stanley Cup next year. Got to be a little bit of regret at that moment, doesn't there? A little bit. Now, you still have a lot of career to try to win a cup yourself, but if you end your career and you're like, man, I squeezed the Oilers on an offer sheet and missed out on a Stanley Cup, and I went to St. Louis and didn't win anything for 12 years, what the hell was I thinking?
I don't think it affects those two right away. It's if it hasn't happened for them and they get, closer 28, 29, if they're lucky to play till the age of 30, things like that. Then you're really, really kicking yourself, because let's face it, I thought that these guys, the appeal of playing for a team that's going to, challenge for the Stanley Cup. I thought that might outweigh the offer sheet, because when we first heard it, I didn't know if they signed it or not yet. Right. But I guess that's it. They only report on it if they sign it, I guess.
It's not like, hey, we're going to do it. They have to sign. The players have to sign. Put the players signed to go to the St. Louis Blues. And that's what happened.
I thought that there was a decision that they had to make beforehand. And I was talking about this earlier with everyone wants a winner, right? You sign the 1-year deal. Then you're I think you just put yourself in a much better position. I mean, there's still restricted free agents. I realize that. But after coming off being a Stanley Cup champion, you can't – most GMs, if it comes down to a player, I'd say the same, if they look about the same, but one's won a cup, one hasn't, it's a no-brainer who you're going to pick at that point, Do you think Broberg and Holloway knew that they were both signing offer sheets with the Blues? Or do you think the Blues, because different agents, do you think the Blues sort of went about it and said we got them both on offer sheets? Or do you think Broberg and Holloway were like, let's go sign offer sheets with the Blues? They talk to you, they talk to me. Let's sign these deals. I don't know. I'm curious. That would be a great story behind if those guys are down in Bakersfield plotting of where they're going to go. But no, I don't think that happened. I think when they finally realized they were the first call to each other afterwards and going, you did that too, right? So, I mean, always nice to go with someone you've played with before, right? I'm not sure of any prior relationships that Broberg has with anyone that plays in the St. Louis Blues, or if Holloway has played with someone before. That always kind of that might be enticing. I just think the Alex Steen, correct, was an integral part of this with Philip Broberg. Having Swedes like to, like anyone, they like to stick together, and having him as probably the eventual GM too was a little bit appealing to him. Does it change the way you view the Oilers organization at all? The two of their young guys were totally okay with leaving when they're a cup contender? Yes, it does a little bit. Yeah, we haven't discussed that at all through this whole process. I was just thinking about it. It's like, what does it say about the Oilers that your two young guys who've been come up through the organization are now just like, boom, see ya, money, out of here? I guess that's just how it is in sports. There's no loyalty, maybe, for at least these guys, but I don't know. Yeah, for sure. It was it went into the decision making of this, because who am I thinking of? I think if you look at was it like Stankoven, Wyatt Johnson, those guys go right in and play. You know, you feel part of it right off the hop. I think if you were to ask those guys and they were to get offer sheeted, there'd be a little bit more hesitation because they know they're an integral part of a really good team. Those questions still weren't answered for Holloway and Broberg. They had really good playoffs, and they were trending in the right direction to become regular every night NHLers. But if you look at those two guys in Dallas, a lot more established, and they hadn't really established themselves. So maybe that went into the decision making. I'm still surprised a little bit. I mean, it's 4.6. That's a lot. How do you?
I don't know how Broberg would say no to that.
Like, Huss said it too, right? Like how do you say no, especially when they were offering 1.2 to Broberg, was it? I think the Oilers were, and he wanted 1.8. I don't know how you say no to that, especially guaranteed 2 years, life-changing money. You're essentially, if he has a good financial advisor, he's set for life.
I love being that financial advisor guy who's like, "Oh, you're going to get $9 million. Okay, take it. That's good for your finances." Like,
yeah.
Penner's Pancakes over on the Nasty Chat says, "Guys, in all fairness, from the Oilers offer, Broberg quadrupled his salary, and this might be his only time to cash in. Look at Yamamoto; he made $3.3 million 2 years ago, and now he doesn't even have a PTO yet."
Yeah.
So,
right. You
Tango
never know.
says, "Guys, Yamamoto and Barry back to the Oilers. Would you have any time for that?"
Well, I asked you, Barry or
Justin Schultz.
Justin Schultz, right? Both unrestricted, a little bit older. I think, to me, I would lean a little bit more towards Schultz. Right shot defenseman, not overly physical, but good puck mover, has multiple cups in his back pocket. That's always good to have. Guys that have been there before know what it takes to go through it all. He would have to be league minimum at this point, though.
Yeah. They only got 950 or whatever. So
yeah. So I don't know.
I don't think I'd be looking at either of those guys. Chris makes a good point, and we'll get to hired or fired. I do have some questions lined up for hired or fired, but Chris makes an interesting point over on YouTube today. And if you're watching over there, hammer the thumbs up. We're almost to 9,800 subs. Let's hit 98. If you're watching archived or whatever, give us a sub. Close to making this push to 10K in year one would be great. Chris says, "Guys, I would have been hurt a bit by watching the Oilers sign Brown and Perry if I was in Broberg and Holloway's shoes." And that's, you know what? If you're Holloway and you're sitting there going, "I'm going to be a big part of the organization moving forward," like not at a McDavid Draisaitl level, obviously. And then you're seeing them sign a guy who I don't even think, if you got your best players on the ice, Corey Perry would be on your roster. And then they're coming to you and being like, "Sorry, man, we're right up against it. We're only going to be able to offer you 1.1. You're like, "You just gave Corey Perry that. I mean, you don't want to get me done first. You decide to keep Corey Perry." Like, if I was Dylan Holloway, I'd be a little pissed too. Really? I mean, that's a fair point. That's a good text.
That's a really good point, actually. Really good point. I wonder too, on my dog walk, this is another thing that I thought about. If CC gets done earlier, Broberg sees the whiteboard in the GM, or the imaginary one, where his name skyrockets up the depth chart. I wonder if maybe he thinks a little bit different then, right? Because he signed the offer sheet while they still had CC. So Broberg's still kind of looking, well, where do I fit in here? You know, am I going to be he obviously wants to be a top four defenseman. And it's just, there were still some question marks. We talked to, it seems like he's automatic top four in St. Louis, right? So I don't know. Yeah, I would be upset. I would definitely be upset. 39-year-old guy. That looks like he's probably not going to be in the lineup.
He's going to be healthy scratch for more games than he's going to play.
I think so. Yeah. But to get him done first, around the same number that you're looking for, hey, if he was on the show, that would be that hurts for sure.
And Calvin C says, especially seeing them get signed first, and you see that there's no money left cap wise for you. So,
well, yeah. Cass went into that though too, right? So that's the squeeze of the RFA.
Yeah,
no one. That's what all GMs do. They try to squeeze them. Even Cass said before he had to go was looking probably all the way up to the first game of the season. Maybe they're sitting out and worried about everything. That's usually what happens. That's it's fun. It's funny to look back at all the different subtle little times where it probably hurt. But again, I'll reiterate, Dylan Holloway is from Calgary. Everyone, he was.
It was always his plan.
He was a Trojan horse.
He really technically just wants to get further away from home. He's going to go to St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's it. Somebody, who was it? Waddy, I think, sent in a picture of Broberg and Holloway together as the Edmonton Oilers pickleball champions. They were the Edmonton Oilers pickleball champions at one point, 2023. And that united them so much. They united over pickleball and then decided to go play for the St. Louis Blues. So that's got to be the key. Nothing good comes from pickleball.
They could be fraternal twins too, kind of
Yeah, they look somewhat similar.
Yeah,
somewhat similar. This text is in and says Wyatt Johnston's a better player than Holloway will ever be. That's not even a hot take. Of course he is. Wyatt Johnston's terrific. Wyatt Johnston's just tapping his potential right now. So I don't even know why that.
But he got the opportunity too.
Yeah. Okay.
And he ran with it. He ran with it. I won't get because he started fourth line, or Stankoven started and moved his way up the lineup too. Right, both those guys are solid players.
780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. That is the text line, or you can hit us up. Spency 5 cents. He says the Blues logo kind of looks like a pickleball paddle. Have you seen the other game, paddle? Have you seen paddle?
No.
Have you seen this? So there's pickleball, and then paddle is like a combination of pickleball and squash. So you're playing with a bouncier ball inside a glass, but it's pickleball style. People just keep combining these paddle games and coming up with something new all the time. But I did watch a video on TikTok or something where a paddle in the game of paddle, the ball went out of the area, and you could still run out and hit it from out there, and they did, which was cool. But
I just Northside Sandwich. That's when they hatched their plan at the pickleball
tournament. Yeah, you thought they were focused on winning pickleball, but they're like, actually, guess what my agent says? My agent says there's no way they'll be able to get it done. So, look, the team is less handsome than it was before.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to hire it or fire it for GS Construction. The Sandman and GS Construction hiring now. Become a part of their great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or their page over on indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction is built on three things: efficiency, quality, safety. It's good three things. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction. All right, a couple of things we haven't hit on yet here, but a couple other things that we can certainly get to that we have already discussed. But the Oilers' blue line is much worse than it was in the playoffs. Hire it or fire it?
Hire it.
Yeah. Okay. I put the word much in there. I was just maybe that take it too far. But Patrick Laine will score 30 in Montreal this season. Hire it or fire it?
Oh, hire it. I think he flirts with 50.
Wow. Holy smokes. You're thinking career year here.
Yeah. I just think Kirby
should be
motivated. Pop. Yeah, and he'll be motivated. He'll moonlight with Suzuki at times too, right? His lines aren't always set. But actually, Dusty, I know you haven't been probably outside HQ today, but when you go out, look who's there's a couple big, huge trucks outside that happen to be.
Oh, I did see those. There's some GS Construction, GS Construction trucks just down the way. Just down the way. You know what they're working on? I don't know, but they hired those guys. They hired those guys. Those guys that are there working for them are working for them because they got hired at GS Construction. I did see them. So they were there when you left today too, eh?
Yeah,
I did see them, yeah. I'll probably, to answer here as well, I'm going to probably hire it. I think he gets 30. Like this past year, he only played 18 games, did have 6 goals, which would be a 30-goal pace, close to it at least. The year before, 22 goals and 55. That's a 30-goal pace. The year before that, 26 goals and 56. That's more than a 30-goal pace. He's obviously got something to prove, trying to get his career back on track. Well, as we talked about on the Nielson show this morning, not an easy spot to do it in Montreal if things don't go well early. Gager, there's going to be a big spotlight on him there.
I know, but what a place for to be if things go great. You got to look at the other side too, right? Like if he gets rolling, like I think he can, that's there's a few places to play that can really give you a little bit more juice. Montreal is one of those places.
This text, I just want to get to this text again. It says, guys, Emerson being waived worked out pretty well for Forsling. Okay, so it's worked out for like one defenseman. And do you know how many guys get waived all the time? One guy, a guy gets waived, and then a year later the team trades him. And it's like, well, he could be the next Forsling. Let's calm down. Yeah. None of I bet you 50% of you never even heard of this dude prior to the trade, and now you're like, he's going to be the next Forsling because he was on waivers a year ago. Come on, calm down. My goodness. All right, Jeff Jackson should take the blame for losing Holloway and Broberg. Hired or fired?
That's a good one. I'm going to hire it because if a friend of EST, Bob Stauffer, is correct that Ken Holland was told to do this, then it should have been overlooked a little bit more closely than it was.
By
like
the
if
CEO.
It wasn't done.
Yes.
Like if Jeff Jackson went to Ken Holland and said, get this done, and it wasn't done by the end of the season, this should have been one of his top priorities. Well, my old GM didn't get it. I got to get this solidified here. Like, this is what I wanted to have done before.
That's a good point. If Jackson told Holland this should be a priority, then why didn't he make it a priority himself instead of signing all the UFAs and put yourself in this tough spot? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up at all.
Doesn't add up.
You don't sign the Brown and Perry if this is what you set as a priority for the GM to do at what,
in
Christmas
January
time?
Yeah, like come on.
Yeah, come on. Let's see the writing on the wall here.
Hired or fired, Hernan Salas is going to be a monster on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Oh my God. It's I can't wait. And selfishly, I can't wait for a 3-game losing streak.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everyone's excited.
Even for me, just to watch the post game after like a slide, he's got 3 years of Latino heat stored down inside of him, waiting to explode. Gager.
That's what he said. He goes, God, I wanted to call in and talk, and I couldn't. Like, he was like, I need to vent and find. Like, he's so excited about this. I'm excited. I can't wait. This is going to be fun where we can take this too. I love it. I love it.
EST afternoons starting in September from 1 to 3 every single day. Hernan Salas coming back to where he belongs here at Edmonton Sports Talk after being with us at 1260 for such a long time, and Joaquin Gage taking his rightful spot next to him here. 1 to 3, 5 days a week on Edmonton Sports Talk. Final one. There's going to be full-blown nerd question. But hire it or fire it, Disney's making a huge mistake by not doing a second season of Acolyte.
Like, I don't look at it as it's such a disappointment. I mean, there was a slow burn on that show, Dusty. Like,
there
obviously,
was.
But if you really go into the lore of Star Wars, and everyone complaining about it's the midichlorians, this was different. This was witches. They created life with the divergence where the the Jedi were looking for it the first time. So many questions about Darth Plagueis the Wise, right? Like the mysterious being behind.
And
like,
they do roll that out there at the end. Now you're just going to do nothing?
You're not going to answer that question. I think that he wasn't even involved. He just saw these wheels turning. I had a totally different view of what was happening there. It was poor YouTube Trev. He had such a tough
day today
morning. And then we're outside on the couches talking, and they would say, Accolade. And you could hear he was still in the studio, and he just, oh no.
this guy had barely overcome. He still has it. He's been moping around all day because the Broberg news. He's a very sad boy. But he's not happy with that either. So that's a tough one. Good. All right, hire or fire it for GS Construction. That's going to do it for two guys and a goalie today, presented to you by GS. If you're looking for work, look no further. Go to www.gsconstruction.ca. And hey, if you just want a job, they can give you a job. But if you're looking to take your career to another level, take advantage of their Next Up Person program at gsconstruction.ca and make it a career. All right, Gage, good times today, buddy. I'll see you in about 16 hours, all right?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good, buddy. Have a good day.
Talk to you later, Gager.